welcome to the very first episode of West Island News' new series, DIY with Donohue, where I, Becky Donohue, show you all of the awesome projects that you can do yourself at home. We're going to be starting off this series with a beginner macrame plant hanger. Now, if you stick around to the end of the video, two viewers are going to be very pleasantly surprised. So you're going to take 8 equal length jute twine or jute cord. You want to do typically at least 3 or 4 ply so it's strong enough to hold whatever pot you're going to set in there. And you can do this for any size pot or even a glass terrarium if you want to get that going. You're also going to need about a 2 foot. I like to do this one a little bit longer, and you could always trim it later on. 2 foot to secure your knot on your ring. This is a brass ring. You can also use wood if you prefer. Our DIY plant hanger. I'm gonna use jute. Hemp cord is also really good. Nylon is as well. This is just more sustainable. Cotton works as also. If you want to, you can go ahead and upcycle an old t-shirt. You can tear it into long pieces and then tie it together to create a cotton cord. All right, so you're gonna decide how much you want to be hanging here based on how much I have. We're gonna do, and I just eyeball it, we're gonna leave about that much hanging off of here, if you can see. Then you're gonna go ahead and just make a knot with all 8 pieces. Make sure to pull that all through. Alright, so we have our knot to get us started. Now you're going to take 2 pieces for each side. This is going to go ahead in the center. So now that we've got our distinguished pieces, we're going to go ahead and start with our first knot. Go ahead and pull that cord. You're going to find your spot. Now this first cord, they don't all have to be perfect, but you do want to get them in about the same spot, all 4 of these pairs of rope. Now you want them to be relatively equal here, specifically this first knot, so that way your pot is well balanced. You can go ahead and check. All right, now we're going to take our second pair of jute twine. You can just go ahead and size it up with that first knot we made. Make another knot, loop it, pull it through, and go ahead and tighten it. Oh, see, not quite balanced, so it's real easy. We're just gonna adjust it till we get it where we want. Much better. We take our third and we're going to do the same exact thing. And now you pull it all the way off. For the fourth, size it up, make them equal. Okay, now that we have our first batch of knots, you can go ahead and put it back on here if you just want to take a quick peek, make sure it's looking good so far. Just to show you, we've got our knots. Now we're going to go ahead and move on down to the second knot. Now for this, just going to be a little bit different. You're going to take 1 string from each of these pairs and we're going to tie them together. So just like so. Now this loop, you still want to get them even so it doesn't look unbalanced, but it's not as important as the first knot to be equal. Now move on to your second. We're going to do the same thing here. Grab 1 cord from each. You can pull this up and just do like we did with the first knot. You can measure that and go ahead and tie a knot in the same spot. Once you get a little more comfortable with your skills, you can step it up a notch and try some higher skill level knots. And then we are once again going to go ahead and pull that off when we grab our last two cords. Make one final knot. Alright, that will work. So as you can see, we have our first 2 rows of knots as well as the bottom. We can go ahead and put this back on now. Let's go ahead and flip her over so you can take a look at what we have so far. I'm going to grab her from up top, 2 knots up here. Same thing, just a knot. Go ahead and tighten that. Now we have our first knot. Now we're going to go ahead and tie our second knot. And we have our 2 knots. Now you're going to go ahead and grab that. And we're going to wrap it over just like this. Now this part is a lot easier. If you have a hook or something that you can hang this loop on, just to keep your rope tight, nice and taut. So you're going to go ahead and decide where you want that to be, how high you want this to be. Okay. Now you take that second piece of rope that we have. This about, and like I said, this could be about 2 feet. You're going to put your first rope on. And by the way, it's going to look like this. That's going to be in the back. You probably won't have as much rope if you use the 100 centimeter to start. I always use more that way because you can just trim it at the end. Alright, so now we are going to go ahead and we are going to make a loop. About two or so inches down, you make that loop. Now from this loop, you're going to take this piece and you're going to go around. Make that nice and tight. You want it to be secure. And you can go around about 7 times, but it's really personal preference. And don't worry about that little piece sticking up. We're going to trim it afterwards. Okay, now you're going to take this final piece. You're going to loop it through right like that. Okay? You loop that right through here. You have that spare cord in the back. And then you are just going to take this right here. And you are going to pull this cord on top. And what this is going to do as you pull, it's going to pull this knot right underneath. So it's hidden. And you keep pulling. And then to tighten, you grab the lower string and you just pull. Make that nice and tight. Alright, now once that's nice and secure, you can go ahead and we can trim these. And then we can just leave this. This can be the back, so nobody sees. And we're going to trim this one as well. Now I have something else in mind for this leftover string, but you can go ahead and trim it. If you do the 100 centimeters, then chances are you won't even have this extra string. It'll be hidden underneath here. But here we are. Here is your very own DIY plant hanger made out of jute twine. Thank you all for tuning in to the very first episode of DIY with Donohue. I'm so excited to be starting this series, and trust me, you're going to want to stick around for the future episodes. Next episode, we're going to be making some natural dyes for Easter eggs, or you could really use it for any projects, but it's going to be a special Easter episode. Now, we are going to be giving away 2 of these macrame plant hangers to any of the West Island News subscribers. All you have to do to participate is like the West Island News Facebook page, go ahead and share the giveaway post. You'll see it right on the West Island News Facebook feed. And then we will be announcing the 2 winners of the giveaway via the West Island News subscriber email. So go ahead and sign up for that and keep an eye out in the next week. And we'll be announcing that. Thank you all for tuning in and have a great week.